Good evening and welcome to this session of the live coaching classes conducted by the Board of Studies of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We will be continuing our discussions on the General Clauses Act today. Before that, I've got Alok Shivlani here, Jnanesh Ingley, Ms. Nikita Namal, and Pranav Vasishta. Welcome, sirs. And others, as you come, I greet you now itself. Let us begin with the prayer. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu, saha viryan karavavahai, tejasvinavadi tamastu, avidvishavahai, om shanti, shanti, shanti. Good. I think we have covered quite a lot of ground the other day in General Clauses Act. We came right up to, we finished definitions fully. I think about more than 50 slides we completed. We saw the definitions. We saw certain rules like section 6 and all 5, 6, presumptions against retrospectivity and things like that. Good. Now we come to another interesting section, which is commencement and termination of time, right? That is, when does a time duration begin and when does it end? In so many laws, in so many provisions, we find time durations are given. Time is given. 10 days, 60 days, 1 month, 2 months, whatever. When in those days, when does the time begin and when does the time end? So in any legislation or regulation, it shall be sufficient for the purpose of excluding the first in a series of days or any other period of time to use the word from, and for the purpose of including the last in a series of days or any other period of time to use the word to. See, this is what we saw in clear days. When we saw general notice of general meeting, we said 21 clear days. We said not including the date of service. That is from the date of service to the end of 21st day. That is the 21st day. So we said don't include the date of service, which means start counting 21 from the next day. But include the 21st day, and then after the 21st day is over, the meeting can be held on any day after the 21st day. So include the word to, exclude the word from. Okay. COL Limited declares a dividend for its shareholding in its AGM held on 27th September 21, referring to the provisions of the General Clauses Act and Companies Act. Why? Because Companies Act tells you that dividend once declared should be paid within 30 days. So for calculating it, we should not include 27 September. The date during which, the date on which, I'm sorry, this is not my words. This is the institute question. So kindly don't mistake me. The date on which COL Limited is required to pay the dividend. The date on which COL Limited is required to transfer the unpaid or unclaimed dividend. If you remember, to the unpaid dividend account. Okay, within 7 days from the expiry of 30 days. Right? So, in the given instance, COL Limited declared dividend on 27/9. So, you have to pay it within 30 days from the date of declaration. So, from, now the word from the date of declaration means 27 should be excluded. When we use the word from the date of declaration, the word from, whichever is qualified by from that date should be removed. So date of declaration to be not to be considered. That means 27/9 ignored. Begin with 28/9. Count 21 days. Then you will have 27/10. So on or before midnight 27/10 you should transfer. So 27/9 will be included, 27. Accordingly, will be required to pay dividend within 28/9 and 27/10. That is, during this period, See, if they wanted period, they should have said the period during which. Instead, they said date during which. So the period would be 28/9 to 27/10, both days inclusive, which means midnight 27/10, because you can even do a NEFT transfer. So at 11 p.m., if you're doing it also, okay. But you have to do it before midnight 27/10. Suppose it crosses 000001. Sorry, you have violated section 127. Same logic, 7 days. So here you will ignore 27/10. From 27/10, 7 days. Now, so take out 27/10 and start counting 28 onwards. 28, 29, 30. October May 31, 31. 1, 2, 3. 3rd November 21. So both days inclusive, 7 days. So before midnight 3rd November, you have to transfer it to the unpaid dividend. Beautifully said. 27th October is Abdul comes out with the answer immediately. Abdul keep on asking questions like this. I don't know. I think in the morning he'll get up and after having tiffin, he'll start thinking what question to ask like that. Government company has more than 51% stake in Section 8 company. Will it become Section 8 company or government company? Sir, it will remain Section 8 company. A Section 8 company, which is a government company, sir. There is no, they are not alag. Now, you can be a government company and a Section 8 company. What is wrong in that? A Section 8 company, which is a government company. Certain facilities of government company will now be available to you. There could be such a company. Why not? There could be such a company. I'm not aware of any such Section 8 company, which is a subsidiary of a government company. So, where government has more than 51%. See, if government has more than 51% in a Section 8 company, that Section 8 company will not cease to be a Section 8 company. It will continue to be a Section 8 company, but it will also be a government company. The auditor appointment, etc., will now be governed by government company rules. Got it? I mean, very complicated question, but answer is not difficult. By complicating these permutations and combinations, nothing happens. The law is clear. Okay. Once you become a government company, you will continue to be a Section 8 company with the privileges of a Section 8 company, so long as you satisfy the Section 8 company requirement, whatever that is. You should apply your profit for the objects of the company. Should not declare dividend. That's all. In case of any winding up, etc., the money, the entire assets will be transferred to a company with a similar goal. That's all. If you are satisfying that, you are a Section 8. But you are also a government company. These are not mutually exclusive categories. If that is how you are looking at it, no. They can be both. Certain things you can be both. See, any act will come into force. An act of parliament which has not specifically mentioned a particular date. The SEBI was issued, whatever amendment was issued on 14th August with effect from 1st January. See, in all cases, my dear friends, the word from is the clue there. Okay. Now, where there is no particular date, when it will come, where any central act has not specifically mentioned a particular date, it shall be implemented on the day on which it receives the assent of the president. Because thereafter it will be notified. So once the president has given the assent, don't include that day. From the next day onwards, it will come. Okay. But if any specific date is mentioned, it will come into force from such date. From such date. So, thus in the given question, the SEBI regulations will come into force on 1st January 2016. Notification in official gazette, not important. 14th August is the day it is notified. But it will not come into effect on 14th August. It will come into effect only on 1st January 2016 as per section 5. Where any act, central act has not specifically mentioned a particular date to come into force, it shall be implemented on the date on which it receives the assent of the Governor General or post-Constitution, the President. Where the date is mentioned, it will come into effect from that date. Section 9 applies for periods. When you're calculating periods, then you should exclude the from date, but include the last date. Right, sir? See, as you may by now notice, General Clauses Act is meant for giving clarity. Whenever there is any doubt, the General Clauses Act will give you clarity. It will give you some ideas on how to resolve issues. Right? Yes, with effect from 1/4. Yeah, that was a notification. Government order notification. See, in all cases, that if there is a notification stating from when it will be effective only from that date. Okay. This is something you want to verify from the official gazette. Usually you'll find that, if it is connected with Companies Act or income tax and all, you'll find it is reported in Taxman, Tax Guru, everywhere. So you'll get wide publicity and you can download it and refer to the effective date. Got it? Computation of time, whereby any legislation or regulation, any act or proceeding is directed or allowed to be done or taken in any court office on a certain day or within a prescribed period. If the court or office is closed on that day or last day of the prescribed period, the act or proceeding shall be considered as done or taken in due time if it is done or taken on the next day afterwards on which the court or office is open. Friends, be clear. You are supposed to file a petition. The court has allowed you time for 45 days to file the petition. File the response or reply. Or some government authority has given you 15 days time. Now, automatically, you will find that you can, if you go on that day and you find, see, for example, you honestly, that day was a working day. Everybody thought it will be working. Suddenly, due to some problem, the government announces it as a holiday or pandemic starts, close lockdown. Then what to do? Then you have to wait for the next day on which the court or office is open. Please note, this is not only for court. It includes even government offices. If on that day you file, it is as if it is done in due time. Okay. So, which is why during pandemic period, we were closely watching what they were saying. Suppose they are saying one government department will open today, then that day you have to go and file it in case you missed a pandemic. Of course, in many cases, if you file it belatedly, if an application or petition or response or reply is given late, belatedly, then it will be, it will be wrong. But if you file it along with what is known as condonation petition, just for information, this has nothing to do with Section 10. Section 10 is very clear. You have been given 15 days time. For example, the income tax office, they say, of course, today, it's going to be a little more difficult to apply Section 10. I'll tell you why. Suppose you have to file it in Tapal. What is Tapal? Tapal is the place where you go and file the any communication to the government for information. I don't know how many of you would have gone to the income tax office or any other office and filed any papers. Okay, that is, you go and file it in a separate section called Tapal, where they will accept that document, put the chop, and give you a copy. You will show them a copy of the same. They will see whether this is the same. Then once they are happy, they will put a chop on your document, sign, put the date. Now you got a proof that you filed it on such and such a day. This is very, very important. I can tell you 15 different stories on how I have won cases based on that alone. For example, I'll give you one simple story. Income Tax Act. I appear for income tax cases, 143 hearings, etc., which are normal. I call them original side. Original side means first point where the income tax department and my assessee are coming for the match, first match, where department wants to see some documents. I provide it. They finally satisfied that everything is in order. They pass a nil order. This is my goal. My goal is to satisfy the income tax department thoroughly that my client's accounts are correct and that he has not concealed any income. Everything is shown. Vouchers are proof shown. Everything is shown. The officer is satisfied, gives me nil. Happens many times. 85% of my cases are nil orders. 15% are appeal orders. Where I also know, department also knows there is a disputable issue. I inform them that I'm going to go on appeal. They pass the order, I go on appeal. That's a different story. Where I have some case law, they are not accepting. Chalo, yaar, you send it up, I'll take care. That is one thing. Point I'm making is one case, I was appearing regularly, providing all the details, pages and pages of submissions. Every time I used to go, the officer used to say, Srikanji, come. Then he will say, how are you? A good friend of mine. Good friend of mine will say, hey, just leave it here, I will see it. Leave it here, I will see it. But I used to tell him, sir, don't mistake me. You keep this copy. But I have one more copy. I bought 3 copies. One for me, one for you, and one for the boy who lives down the lane. Okay. Now, whatever it is, can I go and file it in the tapa? Chalo, do it. No problem. So I used to do it. You will have to give me 1 minute. It's a small crisis. Just give me 1 minute. I have to connect to the battery. I'm so sorry. I forgot to plug in the power source. Chalo, coming back to the point. So I used to file it in Tapal. This happened 4 times. Thereafter, 6 months, no news. No, they were not talking. Then suddenly the issue becomes time barred. So he has only 2 months to complete. So he gets frightened. And then he calls his inspector and says, see, whoever has not filed any papers, and wherever there are no papers in the file, send them 271(1)B notice. 271(1)B is a penalty for not cooperating with the department, not filing the details called for, not offering the explanations, etc., etc. So now suddenly I'm getting 271(1)B notice. So what is this? So I go back to him and I say, Baba, what are you doing? No. How you got Srikanth? How you got 271(1)B? So I got 271(1)B. Then he looks at the file and says, there is no paper here. You did not file. I said, every year, every time I came and gave it. No, it is here, it is there, some nonsense. Then I told him, look here, I am having all the proof in my document. See here, filed on such and such a day. Then I gave a reply to 271(1)B giving date of filing, details given, etc., etc. Now, he was sorry like that. Then I said, sir, don't mistake me. You have initiated 271(1)B penalty on me. That is still hanging on my head. Whereas I'm innocent. Now, first you drop the penalty, then only we'll proceed with the hearing. So he's saying, Srikanth, look at my order sheet. In his order sheet, he wrote 271(1)B penalty dropped. Are you satisfied, Ji? Shall I proceed? Why I'm telling now, if you do not have such meticulous documentation and support, dealing with government departments, why with government department, even legal. See, when you're dealing with another commercial entity, a company, okay, you want to have documentation, sir. Your word and my word is not enough, sir. My proof. So suppose I had not filed it in Tapal, I would have been at his mercy because I gave everything without proof. No, he might have had it. But he will say, no, Srikanth, you don't understand my problem, blah, blah. Whereas when I showed him every submission he was given has been filed in Tapal. You might ask me, why from Tapal it did not go to the file? That is the problem. Government beautiful bureaucratic support. Then he called the Tapal clerk. That fellow will give them a responsible answer and go. And who can catch these fellows? So point is, dates are very important. Filing is very important. Proof of filing very important. Okay. This may sound boring or this may sound very, very didactic to you. But if you are a practitioner, your whole, shall we say, success or failure of a hearing will depend on that. Especially when you're, see, in this case, I was having a friendly officer. Yeah, but if you're not having a friendly officer, cantankerous officer who wants to damage your client's assessment, then more so you have to have proof everywhere. If you want to be if some of you have the dream of becoming tax experts, tax practitioners, successful tax practitioners, authorities on direct tax and indirect tax, for you this becomes very good. Even if you are at one level in your career, you are not responsible for it. Your team should be tuned to it. Everybody in your team should be tuned to the need for documentation. If it is not acknowledged, I don't want to talk. So this rule number 10 is a rule to protect us. In case on that day, that office is not working. Okay, but now you have a problem. See, and this is a different problem. Today, they are allowing you to file online. Documents can be filed online, not filed, they are uploaded. MCA ka website mein or income tax website mein. You got now what is known as a faceless assessment. Now in faceless assessment, you can upload forms. So there in those cases, this rule will not apply in my humble view. Because see, physically offices can be closed, but website and URL, how it can be closed. Portal cannot be closed. 24/7 it is available. You can go and file it. So midnight, 12 midnight is the limit. On that day, you should have, before that, you should have uploaded. Even if it crosses by 0.00001, you're out. But that is where, you have to be again very careful. Suppose you will say, sir, that is okay, sir, but suppose the server is down, agreed. Or there is a connectivity problem, then you have to get a screenshot and keep it as proof. Without screenshot, you cannot have this. Take a screenshot immediately. Okay. These are small suggestions I'm giving, more in the line of practical tips on speech. You might say, sir, I'm not going to practice. I'm going to become a chief financial officer of a large multinational company. Sir, still this is relevant for you. I'm not joking. You will not know in legal issues, in contractual issues, everywhere, proof. Documentation. Okay. PK and VK had a long dispute regarding the ownership of a land for which a legal suit was pending in the court. The court fixed the date of hearing on 29/4/2021, which was announced to be a holiday subsequently by the government. What will be the computation of time of the hearing? So 29/4, which was subsequently announced to be a holiday. So whatever may be the next working day, it will be extended to that next working day. Rather, the next day after which, on which the court or office is open. The correct answer is not working day. The next day on which the court or office is open. Because in pandemic, if you remember, we had selective opening. Some departments opened immediately. Some departments are never closed. They were functioning. Some departments closed, etc. So in those cases, you have to be careful. And for example, Income Tax Act, filing returns should never have been a problem because our portal is there, online uploading is there, everybody is working from home, online connectivity is there. Why can't we do it? In fact, unnecessarily they extended that time. For nothing they extended that time. On the grounds that clients may not be able to go to office and prepare and things like that. In spite of that, even when there was an extension of time, many of our clients were ready with their data. We were willing to conduct online audit, vouching, etc. And we were able to complete it and file the returns well in the normal due date. Without the extension itself, we were able to do it. In 2020 itself, not joking, peak pandemic, working from home. Absolutely correct, Mr. Manoj Kumar Thakur. That's a different subject by itself. I am only talking about contractually and legally protecting yourself. Whenever you deal with government departments, no talking, only paper. Whereas you're talking about audit documentation. Absolutely. Nowadays, it's becoming very, very important. But, I can't go there now because that is a subject by itself in auditing, a whole topic. And I think one full secretarial audit, auditing standard is there. Correct? Standard of auditing practice is there. So on audit documentation, so subject by itself. Many times when professional misconduct action is taken, it will be because the practitioner did not maintain documents. So that is the problem. You have to, whenever you deal with it, today, you don't have to write letters and all. Postage is not needed. All you need is a mail. Mail protects you. Send a mail. Even if the person doesn't reply, it's okay. If you have raised it, if the office is closed, then even the proceedings done the next day, it will be assumed that it is done within the day. Absolutely. So long as it is done on the next day, you should see, suppose the hearing is fixed on a day, which happens to be declared as a holiday, then you need not be perplexed as to when you should go. You should go on the next day. which is a working day when the court or office is open. Okay. See, again, I'll tell you, income tax officers will fix the hearing on a particular day. That day will be declared as a holiday, suddenly some bund and all. Then what I will do, next day, I will go and stand. So yesterday was the hearing date. I was ready, I couldn't come. No problem, Srikanth, you know we'll hear. So, but I will go on that day because if I don't go on that day, you'll say you didn't come. So I'll go record my presence and say, I'm ready. Tell me when I can come. So he'll again open up and say, I'll give some. Anyway, I'll go fully prepared with something. I'll give it to him, take another date and come. Anyway, see, again, try to avoid taking time. It's again, a practical advice from a senior practitioner. See, after all, he has given you enough time, 15 days, 20 days. Get some details. Suppose he has asked for 15 details, collect 13 or 12. Balance 3 or 4, which are difficult, you take time. Don't straight away go and file the paper saying, we asked, I'm busy with some important work, as if this work is not important. Thereby straight away irritating that fellow. Because as if other work is important, this work is not important. So whatever you do, give him for 12 or 13 details out of 15 or 11 details. Balance 4, you say, I cannot give now, I give next hearing. Give me 15 days time, 1 month time, negotiate. But if you give nothing and then keep on taking time till the very end, then give him unsatisfactory complaints, then he will pass some order, go on appeal. It's your waste of time for the client. Beautiful. Essay 230. Thank you, sir, for educating me. Really, seriously. Okay. That shows how strong you guys are on subject. Good. I'm so happy for that. If the court said to do something within 15 days, but 15th day is Sunday, then also, see, usually they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't give that 15th day on Sunday. It will be given on a working day only. Monday, if they are giving it on Sunday, then Monday, obviously. Correct. But normally, while fixing hearings, knowingly, they will not give Sunday. Okay. So VK and MK had a long dispute, which was announced. So you have to go on next day. Ajit was supposed to submit an appeal to High Court of Kolkata. 30th March 22 was the last day on which such appeals could be submitted. Unfortunately, on that day, High Court was due to total lockdown all over India due to COVID-19 pandemic. In the given situation, Ajit was supposed to submit an appeal to High Court on 30th March, which was the last date. So he can next find out, that is in pandemic time, we were all eagerly waiting because once we know it is open on that day, I have to go rush and file my appeal. Otherwise, I'll have to go for a condemnation, blah, whatever. Correct. Now, see, we saw time. Now we come to distance. Okay. In the measurement of any distance for the purpose of any central act or regulation made after the commencement of this act, that distance shall, unless a different intention appears, be measured in a straight line on a horizontal plane. Straight line on a horizontal plane. Okay. Means on a map. You take location, your location and that location. Straight line. This is also known as the crow flies. This is known as the crow flies. See, you and I, if you want to get from point A to point B, we can't go straight. We'll have to take one street, then another street, then left to right, zigzag. By the time we reach there, the crow would have gone because crow will go straight as the crow flies. Crow will fly straight line on a horizontal plane and reach the point. That distance only should be taken. See, agricultural land, if you want to know whether it's something agricultural land, you have to measure 9 kilometers from a city or a village or panchayat or town where the population is 10,000 and whatever that you have to see. So you have to measure 9 kilometers from that place. If it is less than 9 kilometers, it is not agricultural land. If it is more than 9 kilometers, then it is agricultural land. Or if the population is less than 10,000, it is agricultural land. So it will come under the jurisdiction of a panchayat where the population is less than 10,000. Even if it is within 9 kilometers, agriculture. Suppose this is more than 10,000, then if it is 9 kilometers, you should be away. So while counting this 9 kilometers, you should not go by the road route. You should take as the crow flies. Income Tax Act has been amended for that. On a straight line, in a straight line on horizontal plane. Earlier, there was intention was not clear. Now it is very clear. It should be in a straight line on a horizontal plane. If the act is silent and distance is measured in kilometers or whatever, you should take it as in a straight line on a horizontal plane. Okay. There are two ways to reach city A from city B. The distance between the two cities by roadways is 100, by waterways is 80. How is the distance to be measured? It should be measured in a straight line on a horizontal plane. They are not asking you whether it's 100 kilometer or 80 kilometer. Okay, they are asking you, how will you measure? The distance should be measured in a straight line on horizontal plane. See, I don't know, if you live in Kerala, you will understand this well. This could happen easily in Alapi or Kollam and all, because by waterway, it will be very short. As the crow flies, you can come. When you go by road, you'll have to go 3 or 4 circles and then come. Because of the nature of the terrain, you will have to do detours and come. Whereas in the backwaters, if you can come faster. Okay. But the point here is that also may be long. If you understand, even the waterway route may not be in a straight line on a horizontal plane. That is what you have to see. Okay, and see how much that is. That can be easily done using mensuration. See, on a map, we have the equivalent kilometers. And therefore, you see, so 1 inch will be equal to so many kilometers. I don't know if you've done it in your 10th standard geography. We had a paper called map reading where they will give us a map and then they will ask us to measure the distance between 2 places as the crow flies. So what we'll do is we'll take a twine, and then a twine will be given. We can bring the twine, and the twine will take and put it on point city A, and then drag it in a straight line to city B. And if I put it on city B, okay, straight line will come. Then I will take the twine and measure it on a scale. So sometimes it's 3.5 inches. Then I will see the scale of that map. So in that map, if say 1 inch is equal to, or 2 kilometers equal to 1 inch, then I will see how many kilometers this is by seeing how many inches. So based on the inches, I will know as the crow flies or in a straight line on a horizontal plane. This is how we used to measure as the crow flies distances in those days. Sir, on a horizontal plane, so long as that line should not have another depth angle, it should be 90 degrees. See, suppose, you are in this example you are taking city A, right? City A. So you put a pole in the center of city A. From that pole, you have to draw a straight line. That pole should be 90 degrees to your line. There should be a pole. That pole should be 90 degrees to your line. Then aerial or land, it doesn't matter. I gave you an example on map. Where on land, I'm doing it. There's no road board. That's not a problem because we are not trying to see how to reach city B. We are measuring the distance between city A and city B. Got it? There are so many cases, sir. I gave you one example. There are so many situations where distances will be measured. I gave you one example of agricultural land. Like that, there are so many. Income Tax Act has many such situations to measure whether you are eligible for some benefits, whether you are living in urban area, rural area. So many things. There are, and in entire Transfer of Property Act, there will be a lot of things. See, for example, CMDA rules are there. So in CMDA rules, we'll have to check out what is the distance from the nearest place that we have to check out, and so on. In all these cases, the measurement should be in a straight line on a horizontal plane. Factories Act, you find, okay, you have to check out nearest hospital, etc. The distance is given. All situations, okay, where distance will have to be measured. Depends. Okay. See, you might think this is a silly thing. I mean, you might not, but in case you think it is a silly thing, believe me, some cases could be decided based on this one single question. Whether it is this agricultural case, so many cases are there. It's less than 9 kilometers gone. Should be more than 9 kilometers. So generally what I do is, in those days when they had not amended the act and they were permitting us to take the road route, I used to actually drive. I'll switch on the odometer in my car and I used to take my car and drive. I will not believe the client. Or I'll tell the client, you bring your car or you come in my car, we'll go there. Of course, petrol he will put on. No way I'm going to pay for it. And we will both go together. We will see, because the land you may be selling it for 20 crores and you're saying it's agricultural land exempted from tax. Tomorrow, if they argue, then concealment itself will kill you. So, I mean, the client. So I used to tell him, boss, we will drive and see. Now, map, check, 9 kilometers, escape, less than 9 kilometers, population of that place, more than 10,000, sorry, not agricultural land. So this is one example I can give you where distance becomes important. Duty to be taken pro rata in enactments, whereby any enactment now in force or hereafter to be forced, any duty or customs or excise or in the nature of thereof is leviable on any given quantity by weight, measure or value of any goods or merchandise, then a like duty is leviable according to the same rate on any greater or less quantity. Basically, pro rata. There, they are prescribing a certain duty based on, let us say, see, today no, because GST is an ad valorem. So ad valorem duty is no problem. When it is on value, we have no problem at all. Why? Obviously, pro rata. Na? Suppose I say 18% on value, then whatever is the value, 18%. It's only when you're having on quantity by weight or measure, then you will have an issue. That is up to the, I mean, for every 100 kilos, sometimes excise duty on steel used to be like that. For every 100 tons, you have to pay so much. Suppose that it's 120 tons, then whatever is the duty for 100 divided by 100 into 120, pro rata, you'll have to charge. See, these may sound common sense. After all, that is how we normally do it. They are ensuring that this common sense principle is clearly made statutory. Income tax, travel allowance, I don't know. Maybe if they are saying travel allowance based on distance, could be. See, any allowance is anyway taxable. So why should it be linked? Any allowance is taxable straight away, unless it is on a reimbursement basis against actuals, straight away taxed. So there's no need for you to worry. Section 13, one of the most anti-feminist sections, according to me. If any ladies are there who are extremely feminist and feel that male domination is there, then they will find that Macaulay is the ultimate male chauvinist by these words. In all legislations and regulations, unless there is anything repugnant in the context, subject or context, words importing the masculine gender shall be taken to include females. So even though we say he includes she. Okay. Sorry, not my words, actor. So don't get angry with me if you're a feminist, right? But actually, if you look at it, she includes he. She, when you write 9, remove the S, you have he. She includes he. Woman includes man. Double, actually, W-O, man. Okay, W-O, man. Man is there in woman. So, unfortunately, in Macaulay was obvious. See, Britishers were absolute male chauvinists. In fact, Britain did not give the vote to the women. As late as 1930, they didn't give vote. No, 1925, they didn't give vote. Around that 1925 only, women got the vote, the right to vote. Okay. Whereas American women had got it earlier. Women did not get the right to vote. Supposed to be the early, one of the imperial colonial country where England was ruling the whole world. The sun never set on it. And they were teaching Indians like us that we should not practice sati, we should permit widow remarriage, prohibit child marriage. Agreed. All those were bad. Okay, I'm not saying what was happening was correct. But I'm saying they were educating us, where William Bentinck and others were coming and giving us so much about these things, educating us. Whereas in Britain, they were not giving equal importance to women. For a long time, women felt that they were being subjected by male domination. It needed a whole world war, a second world war to emancipate women. With the world war, the barriers dropped and women became fully emancipated to an extent, and they were able to get out of the grappled hold of male domination. But till then, no words indicating the masculine gender continue to include the female gender. Similarly, words in singular shall include the plural. If you remember, and vice versa. Vice versa means words indicating the plural will include the singular. Okay. But do you notice, you don't see that vice versa in gender. You see it only in singular and plural. Correct? You don't see it in gender. Right? So words in singular shall include plural, words in plural shall include singular, which means members includes member. You remember that we referred to this section 13 of the General Clauses Act when we discussed quorum. We said where a meeting is adjourned for want of quorum, where within half an hour from the time appointed for the meeting, the quorum is not present, then the meeting shall stand adjourned to the same time, same day, same place in the next week or a day fixed by the Board of Directors. If at that adjourned meeting also the quorum is not present within half an hour, then the members present shall form a quorum. The members present. So though the word members is used, it's a plural, still words indicating the plural include the singular. Therefore, members includes member. So even though we say members, even a single member, whether present in person or proxy, can form a valid quorum. Just now we saw it in management and administration, right? So you know that. So in accordance with the rule that the words importing the masculine are to be taken, the word men may be properly held to include women and the pronoun he to male or female. Right? So in a way, you know, this seems very silly. The words his father, but then you should, that such thing should not be repugnant to the context. Repugnant. That is, when you try to apply this principle, it should not result in something going, you know, something shameful like that. No, we should not. So the words his father and mother have been construed to include her father and mother, and a daughter has been held liable to maintain her father, unable to maintain himself. So, I mean, this is something that I don't know how many daughters will agree with this, because in India, I mean, I'm not trying to find fault with the system. I have the highest regard for my parents, and I take care of them, irrespective of what my sisters are doing. Whether they support or not, I will support. Even if they support, I will insist that I should support my parents because that is my duty. But that is a principle I have imbibed from my culture. Okay, whereas legally, if you look at it, all of us have a duty to maintain our parents, either parents, both the parents. Okay, so means what I'm trying to tell here is, as much as a lady should maintain her parents, the man should also be maintaining his parents, vice versa also. The other parents-in-law also should be taken care of. That's the point, right? Anyway, so the general rule in section 13(1), see, because in our culture, rightly or wrongly, see, I'm saying our culture, I'm including other religions also. If you're an Indian, this is not a religious culture. This is an Indian culture, that when the daughter is married, she goes out of your house. That is an Indian culture. Once she goes out, she becomes Bahu, she becomes a family member of another family. It is not considered correct to bring her into this. She can come and go as a royal visitor. Whenever she comes, we treat her well and we send her off. But we will, once she is married, we don't expect her to come and support or do anything for this family. This has been a culture in our country, across the religions. I dare say it's across religions, because everywhere it will be like this. Not only Hinduism, every other Indian, okay, would always look at it this way. But still today, with, shall we say, so many changes happening around us, this is changing, and it is becoming a totally different story. Anyway, these are cultural issues. I don't want to go too deep, but then sometimes it happens because didn't understand the meaning of section 12. See, where okay, I will explain. Vedantwara is a superb in asking like this. I will tell, sir, suppose your tax is to be calculated on quantity or weight. For example, listen to my example, you will understand. Excise duty for some product in those days. Example, not real, example. Excise duty is calculated as 1,000 rupees per metric ton. 1,000 rupees per metric ton. So 1 ton means 1,000 rupees. So I have manufactured 1.2 tons. 1.20. 1 ton 1,000. 1.2 tons pro rata. So the levy will be pro rata. If 1,000 for 1 ton means proportionately it will be 1,200. So duty is leviable according to the same rate on any greater or less quantity. So don't get confused with the English. I hope you understand the word pro rata. That's all. Any duty or of customs or excise or etc. If it is measurable on any quantity, weight or value, in case it is higher or lesser than that quantity or value, it will be pro rata. For example, that way, GST is very simple, percentage. Whereas suppose they say, instead of saying 1.2 tons, they say, for every 5 lakh rupees of turnover, you have to pay 500. Then, if it is 7 lakhs, what do I do? So, 500 by 5 lakhs into 7 lakhs, or 500 into 7 by 5. Okay, that is how I have to do it. 500 divided by 5 into 7. Right? It will be more. Got it? This is nothing but pro rata. That's all. Okay, sir. Moving on. This is clear. But the general rule in 13.1 shall be applied with circumspection. Circumspection means you don't like this big word, circumspection. Then with care, C-A-R-E, care, simple word, care, with care, carefully. With circumspection means carefully, especially dealing with matters of succession. Thus the words male descendants were interpreted not to include female descendants. There where the law is very clear, they want to, for inheritance law, when it says male descendants, you cannot use this rule and say female also will be included. Okay. So you have to be careful, especially in laws relating to succession, meaning inheritance laws. There you have to be careful. This rule cannot be blindly applied. See, the idea of this rule is very simple. We see how to avoid gender bias. Then I have to, it's a long-winded way. You can use they. There is, instead of using he or she, you can use they. But that will be very confusing. So it's easier to use he and then say he includes she. That's all. Okay. But where a word connoting a common gender is available, but the words used conveys a specific gender, there is a provision that the provisions of General Clause Act do not apply. That is, there should be a word, common gender word. Okay, that common gender word is used. Then the word bullocks, okay, male. It cannot include a cow. There is a common gender word called cattle. If you wanted to have commonality, then you could use cattle. Instead, use the word bullock. Bullock is a male. Cow is a female. So bullocks means immediately it will be only male. Because if you wanted both, then cattle is there. You can use the word cattle. Instead, you specifically use the word bullock. That means only male is indicated. In those cases, you cannot include female. That is cow. Hope you understood this. So wherever there is a common term which combines both the genders, then when such a word is there, then specifically you cannot use this. One more thing I'll tell you. Be careful. Sexual diversity is a very important, sexual harassment is a very, very powerful law today. Sexual harassment, invariably we will find sexual harassment, you have to be very, very gender careful about use of gender. Either you use female gender, okay, or you use neutral gender, or you use both. Why? Because for example, most of the sexual harassment will be male on female, we think. Not necessarily. Female on male also is possible. Female may also sexually harass a male. Number of cases may be less, but it could be there. So to be very careful while drafting and interpreting law relating to sexual harassment in workplace. And very, very powerful law, be careful. So don't think that I'm telling something that's not relevant for you as a chartered accountant. But be very careful. I tell you, you will be innocent. But if you are to be entrapped in sexual harassment, it will be very easy. All it needs is the word of one person against you. Okay, be very, very careful. It could be male or female. So be very, very careful is the point. So there you know to be careful. You can't use the word she. You have to use the word he, or you have to use a neutral word. Employee, like that. Employee is a better word. Employee is a neutral word. Where employee can be male or female. Okay? Because there you cannot say he, she. Employee, them, they. You always use neutral words. Okay? Drafting such enactments is very, very delicate. Because tomorrow you will deny justice. When a male wants to make a complaint, you will say, no, male cannot complain. Because words indicating the female do not include male. I don't know why that is so. Whereby any central act or regulation, I think we have finished this. Whereby any central act or regulation made after the commencement of this act, any power is conferred, then unless a different intention appears, that power may be exercised from time to time as occasion requires. That is, if a power is conferred, then it can be exercised whenever the need arises. There is no need for getting any specific permission or approval once the power has been conferred through an act. Okay. Through an act. The power need not be again be reconfirmed. Right. See, this applies to all central acts and regulations made order after the 14th day of January 1887. They go back. Okay. Whereby any legislation or regulation, a power to appoint any person to fill any office or execute any function. Okay, before we go there, some queries are there. He also includes, hey, that's a bigger question, Mr. Pranay Vasishta. You don't even start me on transgender issues, LGBTQ issues. See, when Lord Macaulay was drafting General Classes Act, the concept of a transgender and their rights were not known. So I seriously can't answer your question. I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, this is a good point you are making. Okay, and it's a very valid point. Okay, the third sex, or will they be treated as females or males as per their choice, whatever. If you take my view, transgender is included here, and the transgender should be given the right to choose the gender. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? The transgender should be given the right to choose their gender. I don't think there is a third gender, right? There are two genders. Transgenders, due to psychological or physiological issues, are forced to be born in one gender, but have a preference for another gender. Okay. So in my humble view, they should be given the choice of choosing, choice of their own gender. Whatever gender they choose, we will abide by it. So they say they are female, female, male, male. That's all. This is my humble view. In which case, this section will directly apply to them. Instead of questioning the choice and then forcing them into a male or a female, compartment and making life miserable, we should say, you choose what you want to be. And if that can be done, then this will be very much applicable to them also. Women chairman is not called chairperson, sir. Woman chairman is not called chairperson. Everybody is called a chairperson, which includes both man and woman. So when I said Mr. Srikanth chairperson, it is not only female will be chairperson. Male also is a chairperson only. Why only chairman? And as you say chairwoman, chairman is silly. That's why we say chairperson. If you say chairperson, then you cannot say chairman for man. You should say chairperson for man also. It cannot be chairman, chairperson. It's as if female is chairperson, man is not a person, is it? I'm also a person and I'm a chairperson. Okay, think about it. If you say chairman, then say chairwoman. If you say chairperson, then no need for one more word. Sorry, this is becoming an unnecessary, unfortunate discussion in English etymology and semantics. No problem. This law needs you to be expert in that. See, some of these sections are dry because they are meant. Section 14, Vedantha illa Srishti Butada. Okay. Madam, this is not important from the exam point of view. So don't break your head. I will explain one more time. If you understood, understood. Otherwise, leave it. It will not affect your exam result in any way. Still, as a question you have asked, I will give it you the answer. A power has been conferred on an officer or government or something through the act. Now, that power may be exercised from time to time as occasion occurs. That is, once the parliament has delegated a power to the central government, to a particular central government, that power can be exercised whenever needed. That's all. That is, at that time, they need not again go and any approval from anybody. Once it is delegated, that delegated power can be used whenever there is needed. That is all. Okay. There is nothing great about it. Okay. There is normally, whenever a government officer acts now, he has to get approval from his ministry or from his superior. But where the power is conferred under the statute to him or through the statute, then he can exercise it whenever he wants or she wants without getting any further approval from anybody. That's all is the meaning of this section. Okay. Whereby any legislation or regulation, a power to appoint any person to fill any office or execute any function is conferred, then unless it is otherwise expressly provided, any such appointment may be made either by name or by virtue of office. Simple, sir. You are forming a committee, government is forming a committee. In that committee, they will be including people. Okay. Now, for example, a commission is being formed, right? So when the commission is being formed, they may say the commission will be formed by the following people. 1, Mr. So-and-so, advocate, senior advocate, by name. Mr. So-and-so, senior chartered accountant, by name. The collector of Tamil Nadu, not by name, by office. So whoever is the incumbent collector of Tamil Nadu will automatically become the member of that commission. When the collector of Tamil Nadu is changed, automatically the new man will come and sit. Automatically. So that is being made by office, not by name. So when any legislation or regulation, a power to appoint any person to fill any office is conferred, then such appointment may be made either by name or by virtue of office. Okay. For example, I was the secretary of the Tamil Nadu Investor Association. The Tamil Nadu Investor Association, second largest investor association, second only to, I think, Vadodara. Vadodara in Gujarat, that was the largest. Or Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad was the largest. After Ahmedabad, we were the next. Well, so we used to sit on the SEBI committees. My president used to sit on one committee. I used to sit as a secretary. I used to sit. Not as Srikanth, chartered accountant, but as secretary Tamil Nadu Investor Association. So so long as for 3 years I was secretary, I will attend on behalf of TIA and I will represent protecting the interest of investors, etc. That was my role in the SEBI committee. But the point I'm making is I was not going as me. I was going as secretary. So that once I demitted office, my successor will go, whoever it is. The committee formed by SEBI very clearly says so-and-so by name, so-and-so by name, so-and-so by name. Then Secretary Ahmedabad Investor Association, Secretary Tamil Nadu Investor Association. Whoever is the secretary at that time automatically will have to go and sit there. He's both entitled and bound to go to Bombay and sit in that committee, give the view, get it minuted and come. Okay. This is called ex officio. Ex officio appointment. What does it mean? Arising by virtue of one's position or office. So Why was I sitting on that SEBI committee? Not because I am so and so big shot. No, I am there only because I am secretary, Tamil Nadu Investor Association. So where there is a power to appoint, appointment may be made either by appointing by name or appointing ex officio as well. That's all. Vedant Vara, have you understood? If not, I will explain again. Simple ex officio appointments are possible. I gave you some examples also. Later on, if you come to arbitration, you will find nothing to do with this, because here only talking about by any legislation or regulation. Whereas there may be an arbitration clause, where in that clause, the two parties may say, the third arbitrator shall be the president of the Chamber of Commerce, so and so, Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's it. Once the two arbitrators come, the third arbitrator will automatically be the Madras Chamber of Commerce, President Madras Chamber of Commerce, straight away. It's up to them. That is called ex officio appointments. Okay. The appointment is based not on the person, but on the office. Ex officio. Power to appoint to include power to suspend or dismiss. See, in our ancient mythological stories, you will find Brahmaji used to have the power to give a boon. Every other asura, or Rakshasa would have, done penance. Brahmaji will come, and he will ask Brahmaji or Shivji some boon. Brahmaji will give that boon. Like Hiranyakashipu, he said, I will not be killed on land, I will not be killed in water, I will not be killed in air, I will not be killed here, I will not be killed here. Like that. Brahmaji agreed. Then he makes that fellow invincible. But Brahmaji does not have the power to withdraw. Brahmaji has the power to give, but Brahmaji does not have the power to withdraw. Sorry, this is just to give you a background. Then Vishnu has to come to Paridranaya Sadhuna, Vinashaya Chatushrata. But thanks to section 16, the authority having the time being power to make an appointment shall also have the power to suspend or dismiss any person appointed. So, if I have the right to appoint, I should also have the right to dismiss, whether by itself or any other authority in exercise of that power. Whether by itself or any other authority in exercise of that power. So, it should, that is, once you get the power to appoint, you automatically have the power to suspend or dismiss. So, suppose the section does not talk about suspension or dismissal, you can take reliance on section 16 and say, look here, even though there is no power to suspend or dismiss, since I have the power to appoint, or this authority has the power to appoint, this authority has also got the right to suspend and dismiss. So, Order 40, Rule 1A of CPC, which authorizes the court to appoint a receiver, has been construed to embrace power of removing. So, even though it is not mentioned in the statute, you can use section 16 of the General Clauses Act to conclude that if you have the power to appoint, then you will automatically have the power to remove. Article 229(1) of the Constitution, which empowers the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice makes appointment of officers and servants of High Court. All the other judges are appointed by the Chief Justice. Okay. That includes the power to suspend or dismiss. Okay. I am not aware of this. If you say so, I will agree. Vice President of India is ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. I am not aware of this. If you say so, I will agree. Yeah, it is ex officio. Whoever is the vice president will for the time being become the chairman. Okay. A law related to the chief or superior of an office shall apply to the deputies or subordinates lawfully performing the duties of that office in the place of their superior to prescribe the duty of the superior. Suppose a certain power has been delegated to an additional commissioner, which is normally available to the commissioner. Then whatever is the law applicable to the superior officer will apply to the deputies or subordinates who are lawfully performing the duties of that office in the place of their superior. Okay. So this again is to clarify that you cannot say Act uses the word commissioner. So the rule will only apply to commissioners, but not to other than that. So long as he is delegated that authority and is acting within that power delegated, then deputies and subordinates also will be covered. Okay. Section 15. Well, I gave you example. No, so many examples I gave you, Vedant. You are not able to understand what to do. Sir, suppose we gave example here. No? So 2 clear examples are given. Court has the power to appoint receiver. Okay, sorry, 15. 15 is ex officio. What is your doubt? See, when a provision says so and so will be appointed, then that appointment can be made either by name or by virtue of office or ex officio. That's all. There's nothing great about it. I'm not able to understand what is that you don't understand. Now, in this one case, you ask a specific doubt, I'll answer. I cannot explain again because I already explained, I think, with clear examples. Yeah, I even gave an example of how I became an ex officio member of SEBI committee and all that. So whenever there is a rule which says so and so can be appointed or a committee can be formed and an authority can appoint, then that power to appoint will be having both the right to appoint by name as well as by virtue of office. That's all. So they, instead of giving the name, they can say whoever it is occupying that office will become a member or will be having this power like that. Okay. See, sometimes certain government officers will be having certain other roles also. Okay. I'm not able to think immediately, but some cases they will be having some other roles also. For example, collector may also be sitting on certain committees. Okay. Automatically, the collector of the district will automatically be there. I did say collector of Tamil Nadu. I'm very sorry. Chief Secretary Tamil Nadu. It cannot be collector of Tamil Nadu. Collector of districts. Okay. So collector Vilpuram district automatically will be sitting. For example, suppose there is a consumer protection, complaint disposal committee, not consumer protection council. That's a different body. Consumers, there is small disputes related to consumers where there is some spurious goods being sold, low quality hotels selling. There will be a committee which will listen, which will consist of NGO representatives. Collector also will be there. So that regulation, very clearly say this committee will have two representatives from NGO, selected NGO, 2 representatives from activist groups, 2 persons who are well known in consumer activism, and the collector of the district. So automatically the collector of the district will come. In addition to that, they can say so and so by name, who is a well-known activist. By name they can say so and so who are well-known consumer activists, and 2 representatives from 2 well-known NGOs appointed by NGO, and the collector of the district will also be there in that committee. So the power to appoint will automatically include the power to appoint by name or by virtue of office. Vedant G. Vora, I have done my best. I hope you have understood. Yeah, like that. You can give like that 100 examples. Secretary MCA is ex officio chairman of IEPF. Exactly. So this appointment can be made by name or by virtue of office. That's all this. We are beating a dead horse for no reason at all. We are wasting our time. But Vedant Vora, you should also sharpen your saw a little more. Okay, you should sharpen the saw and listen a little better. Have you understood 15? Okay. No problem. I will explain a number of times. I have no problem in explaining again, but just want to be sure that you are clear. Now I am happy to see Abdul Ji is answering questions and being proactive into this and sharing information and all. Thank you very much, Abdul. So the authority having for the time being power to make appointments, we already saw that. No problem. This also we have seen. Where any legislation or regulation, a power to issue any notification, order, scheme, rule, form or bylaw is conferred, then expression used in the notification, etc., shall, unless there is anything repugnant in the subject or context, have the same respective meaning as in the act or regulation conferring power. I will explain. This is easy. Vedant Ji Vora, please listen before, then don't ask me again to explain. Sir, as per the law or regulation, central government has the power to issue notification or an order or formulate a scheme, whatever it is. Okay? Then, if there is any word or expression which is used in that notification, order, scheme, form, etc., then unless there is anything repugnant in the subject or context, have the same meaning as in the act or regulation. See, we are going to use, for example, we may use the word total voting power, or we may use the word in a paid up capital, net worth. No, if the Companies Act has given the power to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to formulate a scheme, whatever scheme for striking off of the name of defunct companies, whatever. While formulating the scheme now, the central government, there is a Ministry of Corporate Affairs, will use certain words, right? Or expressions. Those expressions will have the same meaning as used in the Companies Act, which is the regulation or law giving power. So, for example, if the Companies Act has clearly defined the word net worth, and that word net worth is used in the scheme, then unless the scheme defines net worth specifically and specially, the net worth definition given in the Companies Act will apply. I repeat, unless the scheme defines the word net worth specifically for that scheme, very limited purpose of that scheme, if there is a definition of net worth, that will apply to that scheme. But if that scheme is silent on definition of net worth, then the net worth definition in the Companies Act will apply. Thank you, Mr. Sunil Kumar. Thank you very much for saying your doubt is cleared. Abdul, you are going very fast. You are going very far and excellent. I'm so happy and proud that you are doing it. So let's keep working on this. Power to issue to include power to add, amend, vary, or rescind. Okay, means once I can issue it, I have the power to add, amend, vary, or rescind. See, because sometimes while enacting, they might say, regional director shall have the right to issue notification. Once I have the right to issue the notification, I can correct it, amend it. Or I can say, earlier I issued the notification, now I'm adding one more condition to it. I have the right to do that. And I can rescind it. I can say, enough, I'm calling back my notification. So, power to issue includes power to add, amend, vary, or rescind. Simple. Again, these are only commonsensical provisions meant to ensure that, if there is a doubt, clarity will prevail. So, where a power to issue is conferred, then that power exercisable in the like manner and subject to the like sanction and conditions to add, amend, vary, or rescind. So, whatever is the restriction on the power to issue will apply. Whatever is the restriction, whatever is the sanction, whatever is the condition, if any, applicable to issue will automatically apply to add, to amend, vary, or rescind. For example, I'll give a simple example, you will understand it. Suppose an order can be issued by the regional director. Okay. But in case that, suppose he has the amount involved or the net worth or the total amount involved would exceed 2 crores, then he will have to get the approval of the central government. Then that is a condition now. So even when he is resigning it, that condition will apply. He has to get the approval. Suppose such a condition is not there, then he has the right to resign. If he wants to resign and the condition is applicable, then even for resigning, he has to comply with that condition. The same condition which is prescribed for issuing. See, many powers are conferred on the government officials with monetary ceilings. Up to that monetary ceiling, he has the full power. Beyond that, he has to sometimes get an approval, either pre or post facto. That is before issuing the notification or after issuing the notification. Suppose it is before issuing the notification, then he has to get the approval from the superior in the ministry, and then only he can go for issuing. Suppose he has issued it. Later he wants to amend it now. The same condition will apply for amending also. He has the power to amend. He can propose the amendment, but he has to get the confirmation and then only he can proceed. Same sanction will also apply. Good show. Making of rules or bylaws and issuing of orders between passing and commencement of enactment. See, many central acts will be passed in Parliament. Then they will receive the assent of President also, but will not come into force unless they are notified. You know that by now. So the notification should be made in the official gazette. Not only the notification of the act, but also the notification of the effective date. Where no effective date is notified, you know, it will effect from the date it got the assent of the president, right? Now, where an act has been passed, assented by the president, notified in the official gazette, but has not come into force, a power is conferred to make rules or bylaws or issue orders, okay, then to issue orders, etc., with respect to the establishment of the court or the appointment, whatever, okay, with respect to a person by whom the time when or the place where the manner in which the fees has to be done, then that power may be exercised at any time after passing the act, but rules, bylaws, or orders made or issued shall not take effect till the commencement of the act or regulation. I know I need to explain it a little more. Sir, this is a beautiful example of Companies Act. Companies Act was passed in 2013. It was not notified. I mean, it was notified it was published in the official gazette, but the effective date was not notified. Sections were notified from time to time. Rules were also made. You have to understand, many of the rules that we are now seeing were already there when the act was passed. By virtue of the power to make rules, they made rules and regulations. But those rules and regulations will not become law unless the law itself has been notified and taken effect. See, if the Companies Act, that particular section itself has not come into effect, how can the rules made under that come? So, unless the section has come. In fact, in the Companies Act, they went one further. The section will be notified, effective date will be notified for the section, but for the rule, the effective date will not be notified. That is also possible, separately. But you cannot make the rule effective unless you have made the section effective. Unless the section has taken effect, the rule associated with that section cannot be made effective. That's all this is. So you have a central act has been passed, but has not been made effective. Now that is giving you power to make rules or bylaws, issue orders, okay, establish any court. For example, the National Company Law Tribunal. See, the Companies Act has a chapter on National Company Law Tribunal. Those sections have not been notified. Those sections confer the right to you to appoint tribunal, right? Whatever it is, you appoint those people also. But nothing will take effect unless the original section is notified. The effective date is notified. You got it? Again, don't confuse, or rather, if you be clear about publication of the act in the official gazette and notification of effective date. For example, the entire Companies Act was published in 2013, but it was not notified. Sections were notified in staggered manner. In different stages, many chapters were notified with different effective dates. Possible. A section itself can be, for example, 3 subsections can be notified on one date. The other 2 can be kept. Then they can be notified on a different date. So whatever it is, unless the section is notified, the rule will not be effective. Made under that section, but will not be effective. For example, a section can have such sum as may be prescribed. Section itself has not been made effective. You have prescribed 2 crore. That 2 crore cannot be applicable till the section itself is passed. Then this rule will come and then 2 crore. How often can the rule in? Every time you issue, once you issue it, you can amend it 15 times also. That's all. You can do it a number of times. What is that? See, this section 185, they issued regulations. They issued notice that section 185, they had rules. And that was amended 3 times after the issue of the original rule, which was absurd, and the section itself was absurd. They again came up with a new rule, which was even more absurd. Then we all shouted and pointed out what is the problem. Then they came out with the 3rd set of rules, and they amended the section also, which is what you will now study when you come to final. So it's all possible. Nothing. There is no limit on the number of times the government can correct it. Government is all pervasive, super omniscient. Not today or yesterday. This is as old as the Egyptian pharaohs. Okay. Even in the period of the pharaohs, the government servant had more power. You cannot go and play with the government servant. So that is the problem. '22 scene, beautiful. So this is an enabling provision, 22. Its content and purpose being to facilitate the making of rules and bylaws before the commencement of the enactment in anticipation of its coming into force. This is what happened in Companies Act. The Companies Act was not notified, but central government prepared rules, bylaws, everything in anticipation. They were prepared with everything. Once the act commenced, the section came into force, automatically the rule will come into force. But the rule should be made after the passing of the law in Parliament and before its notification. Okay? Between passing and commencement. Right? Where any central act or regulations which is by a notification under 5 or 5A of the Scheduled District Act or any like law has been extended to any local area, been withdrawn from the re-extended or re-extended to such area or any part thereof, such provision of such act or regulation shall be deemed to have been repealed and reenacted in such area or part within the meaning of this section. See, some laws can be made geographically specific. They can say this law applies to, usually this will apply only to state law. But if any central act has been made, which is very doubtful, because when a central law is made, no, it will be invariably applicable to all states. Invariably, you can't make it applicable to one state and not to another state. So, but if that is done, especially for example, this will be more relevant where there is some problem in one district. So that central law will say this will not apply here. We'll be withdrawing it for the short while. In the meantime, then again it is re-extended. Then it will be as if it was repealed and reenacted in such area. That's what they are trying to say. So statutory recognition to the general principle that if a statute is repealed and reenacted in the same or substantially the same terms, the reenactment neutralizes the previous repeal and the provisions of the repealed act which are reenacted continue in force without interruption. The point is, any action taken under the old law can be continued under the new law because it was already applicable. Then we said it is not applicable. Now we are saying it is re-extended. Then whatever action was taken till the date of notification of not applicability, any action taken can be continued now under the new law. Okay. But if the terms are slightly different, then to the extent that they are not changed, they are continue. To the extent that they are changed, then you can apply it so long as it is not repugnant. Okay. Fantastic. Now, Exactly. Finance Act amends the Income Tax Act every year, but any action taken under the earlier provisions will apply. Which is why when you're dealing with the Finance Act, see, many times, some clients and see, I address a lot of entrepreneur groups and all. Then on WhatsApp, they'll keep asking queries to me. The minute I get a query, I immediately ask him only one question. Sir, your question is for which assessment year? So even one student recently asked me on income tax. I'm zero in income tax. I know nothing in income tax. Okay, there are authorities on income tax who have completely dissolved the Income Tax Act in hydrochloric acid, swallowed it, and digested it. I am not such an expert. I practice income tax, earn a livelihood out of it. Okay, for the last 35 years, I've been earning money by helping my clients to understand and implement the Income Tax Act. So I'm not an authority. Sometimes when doubts are asked, I try my best to answer by reading the section, my understanding I give. Okay. But sometimes students or even clients and others will ask some doubt. I'll say, Baba, Income Tax Act, there are no general doubts. If you are asking a question, please automatically tell me which assessment year. If you do not tell me which assessment year, I will not answer. Why? Because Act is amended every year. New Finance Act comes. What was right last year may not be right this year. What is applicable last year will not be applicable this year. What was applicable up to 15, 16, now not applicable. Suppose you are asking a doubt on 14, assessment year 14, 15. For whatever reason you want. I need to know which year you are asking for. What was applicable up to 21 March now has been changed. So if your doubt is for 23, 25, 23, 24, then answer will be different. If it is for 21, 22, answer will be different. Got my point? So assessment here becomes very, very important. Never state an income tax answer or income tax problem unless prominently you write the assessment here. Even when you work out an income tax problem, please write on top with respect to assessment year, so and so. So nobody will have any doubt. Fantastic. This section accords statutory recognition to the general principle that if we saw that if the statute is repealed and reenacted in somewhat different terms, the amendments and modifications will apply with such changes so long as they are not repugnant. Offense punishable under 2 or more enactments. Where an act or omission constitutes an offense under 2 or more enactments, then the offender shall be liable to be prosecuted and punished under either or any, but shall not be punished twice for the same offense. This is applicable to criminal acts. Okay, this is applicable to criminal acts, and for the same crime, a person cannot be punished 2 times. For the same offense. What is an offense? We already saw it. The term offense we already saw. Any violation of a law, any omission or not complying with or committing or doing something which is prohibited or not doing something which is compulsory. When you are bound by a law to do something, you have not done it. For example, linking Aadhaar and PAN. You have to do it. You have not done it. Offense. Okay? Killing your neighbor. You should not do it. You have done it. That is also offense. It's a criminal offense. Okay? So, holding AGM required. You have not done it. Offense. Doing something which you are not supposed to do. Offense. Not doing something which you are supposed to do. Offense. But in all cases, you cannot be punished 2 times for the same offense. But be very, very careful. There could be different offenses. Friends, I'll give an example. I'll give an example of 2 or more sections can punish the same offense, but they may not be the same offense. Try to understand what I'm saying here. AGM should be held when? Every year. So not holding AGM every year is 1 offense. Under the original section 97. 2. An AGM should be held within 6 months from the end of the financial year. That is coming under financial statement offense. Have you got what I'm trying to say? An AGM should be held within 15 months. That again is an offense, but that will come under the same section. So it will be covered by a single penalty. So minimum 2 penalties are not possible for this. Not holding an AGM within 6 months from the end of the financial year. And also not holding the AGM within 1 year or beyond 15 months from the date of the earlier AGM. Minimum 2 offenses. In this case, I can punish both. Why? Because this is one offense, that is another offense. Though they relate to the same situation, they are different offenses. Try to wrap your head around this. But if the same offense coming under 2 laws, then you cannot be punished twice for the same. Got it? Of course, you can still argue, but in my view, these are 2 different offenses. But if you still argue and say, sir, as per section 26, how can you punish me, sir? Not holding AGM is one offense, sir. I have not held the AGM. Correct. That is one offense. But you should have held it within 15 months. You didn't do it. Under that section, you are punishable. Here also. So when an act or omission constitutes an offense under 2 or more enactments, then the enactment here could include 2 or more sections also. Then the offender shall be liable to be punished under either or any, but shall not be punished twice for the same. So if you find that I'm trying to put you into that type of situation, you can argue and quote section 26 of the General Process Act. Let's see. Correct. Absolutely correct. When Article 372 was removed, special status was removed, many laws became applicable. So earlier they were applicable, then they were withdrawn. Now they have again become applicable. As of today, whatever is applicable will apply to them also. Seamlessly, everything will apply to them. So, but not necessarily. This you don't have to confuse with 24 because there won't be any continuation of proceedings and all. Fresh only it will start. It will all start fresh. But this is a very interesting. Of course, don't confuse this with another concept in criminal law, which is called double jeopardy. This is not double jeopardy. This is simply common sense, where there are two sections punishing the same offense. Then one or either this or that. You can't do both. Is the what they're saying. Double jeopardy is different. When a person has been accused of a crime and has been acquitted, has been found not guilty, he cannot be again charged with the same offense. So it's called double jeopardy. He has been accused. You brought him before court. You led evidence. Finally, the judge has found that he is not guilty. That is called acquitted. He has been acquitted. Now, again, you cannot take him out and then bring some more new evidence and then again drag him in and try to punish him for that. No. Once he has been acquitted, he cannot be. That's called double jeopardy. You cannot punish him for the same crime twice. That's totally different from 26. 26 is where there are overlapping provisions. Vedantora, Ora, 24, you remove it from your mind. I cannot explain again. Sorry. How many times I will explain? Yeah. Boss, a law has been made applicable to one area. That law has been repealed. So during the repeal time, that law was not applicable. But earlier than that, it was applicable. Action was taken, etc., etc. But during the repeal time, it is kept in abeyance. Subsequently, it is re-extended to that area. Then anything done, okay, before that repealing would be continuing seamlessly. Whatever were the things will continue. Okay. So the section accords statute recognizes the general principle that if a statute is repealed means made not applicable to an area and reenacted, that is again made applicable in the same or substantial same terms, the reenactment neutralizes the previous repeal and the provisions will be continue without interruption. So any proceedings commenced in the old law can be continued now. This is the meaning. Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Anda Kanun, correct. Anda Kanun, I think was, yeah, death wish, correct. Death wish. Death wish, I think, no. That was Anda Kanun only, correct. I don't know. Death wish only became Anda. Same concept. Once he is acquitted, you cannot again punish him. Beautiful. Now the time is something like 7:30. So shall we take a small break till 7:45? And again, assemble for further discussions. Sir, small break, sir. welcome back from your break. So we've seen how a person cannot be punished for the same offense twice, right? This is double jeopardy. Article 20, subsection, subclause 2. In the Constitution, don't say section or subsection. We call it article and clause, subclause. So Article 20, subclause 2 of the Constitution states that no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. Okay, provisions of section 26 and Article 22 apply only when the two offenses which form are the same. The ingredients which constitute the two offenses are the same. Please understand, if the offenses under the two enactments are distinct and not identical, then this won't come. That is, the act may be the same, but they may become offenses in two different situations. That is why I gave you the subtle example of AGM, where not holding AGM is not the offense. Not holding AGM within 15 months, offense. Not holding AGM in the same year, offense. Alag offense hai. Not holding AGM within 6 months from the date of the end of the financial year, another offense. That is how I am considering it. Not one single offense, 3 offenses. Okay. That is why we have to be careful. But if you can still argue on 26 and say, sir, not holding AGM is a single offense, how I can be punished 3 times? No. If the offenses under the two enactments or two provisions are distinct and not identical, then you cannot. Okay. Mr. Ram, an advocate, has fraudulently deceived his client, Mr. Sham, who was taking his expert advice on taxation matters. Now, Mr. Ram is liable to a fine for acting fraudulently, both under the Advocates Act as well as the Income Tax Act 1961. State the provision as to whether his offense is punishable. So, Ram shall be punishable either under the Advocates or Income Tax, because the offense is the same, na? Acting fraudulently. Both are punishable here, punishable there. Either you apply the Advocates Act or you apply the Income Tax Act, is the point. Service by post. This is the general provision. See, for information, the Companies Act has specific provision in incorporation. Okay. When something is put in the ordinary course of post, then within it is deemed to have been delivered within or served within 48 hours of posting. That is under the Companies Act. Here we are talking about service by post. When will it be complete, or when your duty is over? Where any legislation or regulation requires any document to be served by post, then unless a different intention appears, the service shall be deemed to be effected by properly addressing, repaying, and posting by registered office a letter containing the document to have been effected at that time at which the letter will be delivered in the ordinary course of post. So what is our job? We should address it correctly. Prepay, that is the stamp, necessary stamp should be paid. Means if you are asking the addressee to take the pay the stamping, then sorry, you should prepay it and you should post by registered post. Then a letter containing the document to have been effected at the time at which the letter would be delivered in the ordinary course of post. Please note, if it is ordinary course of post, then 48 hours. If it is registered post, if it is registered post, ordinary course, 48 hours. Okay. Speed post, 24 hours. Right? So once you put it like this, of course, even if you don't put it by registered post, even if you do it by certificate of posting, where you have got that proof that it was put in the ordinary course of post, okay, or registered post. Mr. Mike has lent his house property to Mr. Weiss at a monthly rent of 1,50,000 per month. I don't know, must be 15,000 per month. Sorry. The yearly rent agreement was due to expire in near future. However, Mr. Mike does not intend to continue his agreement and he has sent a notice to Mr. Weiss for the termination of the agreement. Mr. Weiss, on the other hand, does not want to vacate the property and hence has returned the notice with an endorsement of refusal. Now, Mr. Weiss has contended that no notice was served to him and hence there is no need for him to vacate the property. What did Mike serve a notice correctly? He sent a notice to Weiss by post. If properly addressing, prepaying and posting by registered post, he received it. Then notice was rightfully served to Weiss. Merely returning it and saying refusal, I'm refusing to receive, will not protect. Many people do this. Many clients used to do it. We now have clarified clients. Still, we find employees of clients, when they see government seal on it, refuse to accept. So we keep on educating clients. We keep on telling them, boss, when you get a notice from the government, accept it, take it, see what it is. Merely returning it will not protect you. On the other hand, it might further cause problem for you because he might have given you a reasonable opportunity to make a representation in writing. You should use that opportunity to object to what he's saying. Merely like the proverbial ostrich, it puts its head inside the ground and thinks the sun has set. Sorry, the sun will not set because the ostrich has put its head into the hole in the ground and covered itself. The sun will not set. Okay. So, by merely refusing to receive a notice will not. In fact, it will further compound the problem. As I told you, 271 offense because nobody will appear on the due date. Two due dates are missed, 1 penalty will come. I used to tell my clients. In fact, I used to tell them one thing. See, if you see the line symbol, 3 line symbol, okay, which is the government symbol, the 3 lines, don't worry about the lines. You send the lines to me. I will take care of the lines because handling the line is my problem. But you send it to me. Receive the line, send it to me. The 3 lines are there on top. Don't get worried. I'm here to support you. I'm here to read it and find out what it is and tell you. Merely refusing to accept it will not help you. Endorsement of refusal cannot help. Okay, is the point. So, in fact, suppose somebody refuses to accept it. No, you know how the government can serve it? The government, even under the Companies Act, the government has the right to serve it by pasting. That notice can be, it is called service by affixation. It's called service by affixation. All income tax officers have that power. They send a notice, you refuse to accept it, then the process server has got the power to take, you can just put gum behind it and affix it in front of your house on the compound wall and go. That is service. Because you have been given notice and in your compound wall, you go and see it is there. How can you say I have not received notice? But this is not under the General Classes Act. This is under the CPC. Even the Companies Act, where a notice is not received by the person, it can be put affixed, it can be served by affixation. But if it's a civil case and you are sending something, send it like this, then you have the proof of why registered post, because then you have a proof of delivery also. You have a proof of delivery also. So nobody can do anything. Which is why if you are dealing legally with somebody, please do not use courier. Use the government speed post if you wanted to go immediately, or registered post. Send it by that. So that you have pakka government proof, pakka proof that you trust. Now, coming to another point, which is quite interesting and maybe of relevance to you. There are the post office. Are they agent? The post office, are they an agent? Yes, but they are a common agent. For example, you give the cover to them. You give the cover to them. The minute you give the cover to them, properly addressed to prepaying and registering it with them, they become the recipient's agent. Once I have given it to the postal department, I have given it to the recipient's agent. My job over. I have no control over it anymore. After having put in the post box or after having given it to the clerk, I cannot take it back. You know that? Once a letter is put in the course of post, it is an offense under in those days, it was an offense under the British law. To take anything out of the post box was a huge offense. Because once posted, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the other person. And the postal department is his agent. Now be careful. The same postal department, when they deliver the letter to him, become your agent. Because now they're acting on your behalf and delivering. But the minute you have given this letter to them, to the postal department, letter service has been completed by post, as far as you are concerned. Okay, it's a very interesting point, which is why in future, when you're dealing with legal notice, when you want to have proper evidence of service, please send it by registered post rather than by ordinary post, is the suggestion. One second, here is somebody talking about section 26, General Clauses Act 1897, agreed. The Constitution refers to British. Sir, again, you are confusing. Do you remember earlier we read there was the Government of India Act. Before the Constitution, you had the Government of India Act. In 1897, when this act was there, we had Government of India Act. I think you're not listening when I explained. The British at the time had no constitution for information. The constitution came later. Okay, British has the unwritten constitution. Later on, only their constitution came. Okay, so our constitution was not there till 1956. But in the meantime, Government of India Act was there. Okay, so when our constitution came, then automatically our constitution, any reference to constitution is always to the Constitution of India, not to the British constitution. Okay, please understand. Our constitution came later, as you rightly say, 1950. But in between time, Government of India Act was there. Once constitution came, all references to constitution refers to the Indian constitution. Before that, it refers to the Government of India Act. Got it? Okay. So, subsequent to the Constitution, General Clauses Act was amended. Thereafter, Constitution, word Constitution, if used in this law, always refers to the Indian Constitution, not to the British Constitution. It's a good doubt, but I hope it is now clarified. Okay. Notice was served on Mr. P for appearing in the courts. However, the notice could not be served on account of the fact that the house of Mr. P was found locked. Thus, Mr. P did not appear in court at the set date. Examine the situation, whether P is liable. See, where the notice could not have been served on account of the fact that the house of Mr. P was found, it will be deemed that the notice was properly served as per Section 27 of the General Clauses Act, and it would be for Mr. P to prove that it was not really served and he was not responsible for such non-service. Which is why if the person is not available in the house, as Mr. Pathadi says, door locked case, they will affix it and go. Affixation is enough. You didn't see it, is not my problem. You locked your house, is not my problem. Service came, you are not there. No post box is there, no way to push it into your house. So I affixed it and went, or even there's a window open, I pushed it into the window and went. You were supposed to come and check it up. Okay. So this is the logic behind this point. First, if the post office person lost the letter, then it is deemed to be served or not. Sir, again, understand the legal principle involved here. From the point of view of you, the server, the person serving the notice, it has been handed over to the post office. Post office lost it is nobody's problem. As far as you are concerned, it has been served. Of course, he has not delivered it to that person. It is different. But you have to, it is as far as you are concerned, it is served. It will be deemed to be served. So long as you prove this, properly addressed, prepaid, registered post. Sir, if you lose his registered post and all gone, postmaster will lose his job. They won't lose it. No. That is why send it by registered post. If registered post letter is lost, that is all. End of story for that fellow. Suspended down, because you have proof now that you posted it. But today it's very seamless. They are using advanced logistics software for tracking. But anyway, if he loses it also, legal principle, it has been served. From receiving the letter up to the receiver's doorstep, postman is receiver's agent. After that, the postman becomes sender's. Absolutely correct. When he goes there and finds the door is locked, he is supposed to see if it's a registered post letter, he has to get his signature, acknowledgement due. Suppose he's not getting it, 3 visits he has to make. With the 3rd visit also, it is not there, then he will return it back to you. Okay. But service is over. As far as you are concerned, he cannot say, I have not got it. In any central act or regulation and any rule, bylaw, instrument or document made under or with reference to any such act or regulation, any enactment may be cited by reference to title or short title conferred thereon, or by reference to the number and years thereof. And any provision in any enactment may be cited by reference to the section or subsection of the enactment in which the provision is contained. Means even if you use the short title, you need not use the long title. Even if you use the short title, it's okay. And provision can be cited by reference to section or subsection. Okay. So just a clarification. Okay. In this act or in any central act or regulation made after the commencement of this act, a description or citation of a portion of another enactment shall, unless a different intention appears, be construed as including the word, section, or other part mentioned or referring to as forming the beginning and as forming the end of the portion. So that beginning word and ending word should be included for the purpose of. See, these are all not very, very important. Okay. Application of act to ordinances. Okay. In this act, the expression central act, wherever it occurs, except in section 5, and the word act in clauses 9, 13, etc. Okay, whatever, shall be deemed to include ordinance made and promulgated by the Governor General or under the Indian Council Act or 72 of the Government of India Act or 42 of the 1935 Act or an ordinance promulgated by the President under Article 123 of the Constitution. So see how many acts are there. Governor General under the Indian Councils Act, Governor General under the Government of India Act 1915, Government of India Act 1935. So many laws are there. So whenever there is a reference to Constitution before the Constitution, it is the Government of India Act, respective Government of India Act. Okay. Now, my dear friends, I am at a slight dilemma now because I have completed the topic and it's 8 o'clock. I have to start Negotiable Instruments Act in the next class. So citation means quoting. When you quote, okay, when you are quoting, see, when you are quoting a section, it is called citation. Or when you are quoting a case law, it is called citation. To cite, C-I-T-E, to cite means to refer to or to quote. So whenever there's a citation, then while you are referring to an enactment or quoting an enactment, you can use the short title or the long title. And you can simply use the section number of the section. Okay. Fantastic. As of now, I have completed. In the next class, we'll be taking up Negotiable Instruments Act. See, I'm not taking up negotiable instruments. Though I have a half an hour, I can take up negotiable instruments. I'm not doing it for the simple reason that many people might not have known that I'm going to take it up. Some of them might have thought I'm doing General Classes Act. Not come. Therefore, I'm not taking up Negotiable Instruments Act in this remaining time. As well, I'm asking you to do that. In case you have any questions, you can ask me. Onus means burden or onus means duty. Okay, sir. Burden, duty. So the onus is on P. That is, burden is on P for proving. Onus means burden. Okay. The duty. Onus is on, or duty is on so and so. Whose onus is it? Means whose duty is it? That's what onus means. Past exam questions, I don't have anything, sir. If I had a ready-made, I will do it. I'm not having, I understand. We'll do one thing. We'll try to take up some earlier topic. Any assignment given by me, I'll check up if we can do it. That's a good idea. I I will close this and I will try to look at any assignment from an earlier topic that I have given, which I can now take up. I think that's a good idea. We'll do that. Maybe another 15-20 minutes, I can do that. From an earlier topic. For example, I don't know if I have given this manage. No, one second. Yeah, share capital. Let us see. In share capital, just give me 1 minute. So I don't have past question paper questions. Rather, I got some of my own questions which I shared with you. If you want, we can go through that if you so desire. The questions are on share I think the question is on share capital and debentures. Let us see. Sorry. So Excellent Castings Limited defaulted in payment of its preference dividend for the year ended 31st March 2017. The dividend was finally paid on 15 September 2017. The company also defaulted in payment of dividend declared on equity shares for the year ended 31st March 2017, which was subsequently paid on 15th December 2017. Okay. During the financial year 21-22, the company is desirous of issuing equity shares carrying a rate of dividend which would be 4% higher than that payable on normal equity shares. That is, they want to issue equity shares with differential voting rights. These new equity shares would also have only 1/5 voting rights as compared to the normal equity shares. The company wishes to know if they can go ahead with the plan of issuing shares with DVR subject to compliance with other conditions prescribed. So this is an MCQ. Equity shares with differential voting rights. Sorry. Is possible as all conditions are satisfied. Is possible because the company has subsequently paid the dividend in respect of both equity as well as preference shares. It's not possible because a period of 5 years has not elapsed, expired from the date of the default in payment of preference dividend. Is not possible because the period of 5 years has not expired from the end of the financial year when the default was made. Good. So, any quick answers? So, B. See, let me open that answer. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. See, a company which has defaulted in payment of declared dividend can go ahead with issue of shares with differential voting rights, provided the default is not subsisting. In the instant case, the dividend was subsequently paid on 15th December and therefore the default is not subsisting. So as of today, it is not continuing. Agreed. So it looks like B. But Equity shares with differential voting rights may be issued by company which has defaulted in preference dividend only upon expiry of 5 years from the end of the financial year when the default was made good. In the Indian case, the default in payment was made good on 15 September 21. Therefore, issue of equity shares with differential voting rights is not possible until the expiry of 5 years. That is 31st March 2023, which is yet to come. Okay. Therefore, the issue of equity shares with differential voting rights is not possible because the period of 5 years has not elapsed. Got it? Okay, you just have to wait for another 4 days. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 5 days. 1st of April, this company can issue, but today it cannot because 5 years has not elapsed from the end of the financial year. Okay. Got it? So the correct answer is B. It is not possible because the period of 5 years has not expired from the end of the financial year. Super Infrastructure Limited, an unlisted company, has already, D is the correct answer. Super Infrastructure Limited, an unlisted public company, has already issued equity shares with DVR, being 10% higher dividend and 1/20th voting rights. 1/20th voting rights. 1 vote for every 20 shares held. Now they wish to alter this by giving the shareholders 5% higher dividend and 1/10th voting rights. Okay, 1 vote for every 10 shares held. A general meeting of the shareholders holding such shares with and a special resolution approving those passed by those of such shareholders who are present at the meeting. Subsequently, a group of 5 shareholders headed by Mr. Contentious, an advocate, who collectively hold 11% of the share capital of that class, argued that the variation is not in order because the consent has not been obtained from the requisite majority. So the argument is correct because the approval of all the shareholders should have been obtained. It's not correct because the company has obtained a special resolution at a meeting. Is correct because the consent in writing of not less than 3/4 of the members is not correct because the company is not a listed company. Let us see if you can have an answer. This is just a revision of your earlier topic. Srishti Buthada wants, what is ordinance? See, when the parliament is not in session, the president, and something very urgently has to be done on the recommendation of the concerned ministry, the governor or the president of India or the governor of the state will issue a law, which is called ordinance. The ordinance will be there only for 90 days unless it is renewed by the governor. But finally, that ordinance will expire unless the parliament in session or the assembly in session passes it as a law. Otherwise, that ordinance will expire. Okay. In Companies Act 1999 amendment, parliament was not in session, but they wanted to bring it. So initially it came as the 1999 ordinance. It later on went on to become the 2000 Amendment Act. QA B is not correct because the company, beautifully correct answer is not correct. B. Okay, once you get the special resolution, then according to where the share capital of the company is divided differently, this can be done with the consent rating of not less than 3/4 of the members of that class or means of a special resolution passed at a separate meeting. So either 3/4 or special. Okay, even if it's not obtained, you have got a special resolution. Therefore, contentious is not correct. Beautiful. Now, contentious is not going to go away. The fellow is now going and giving us further trouble. Sorry. In case the contentious and the four others are seeking any other remedy, how will you advise them? So contentious still wants to do some nonsense. So he says, I want to. What can they do? They can apply to the registrar within 21 days, tribunal within 60 days, or they can apply within 21 days to the tribunal to have the variation cancelled. They cannot apply to have the variation cancelled because they hold less than 50% of that. See, they are holding already in the earlier question, you had the information that together they are holding more than 10%, 11%. So what is the answer? See, you can go by elimination process in MCQs. Registrar has no power to do this. They are not, see, there's no rule about 50%. So it should be either B or C. So let us put our bet on C. Not less than 10% are dissenting, do not consent, then they can go within 21 days to the tribunal and have the variation cancelled. Variation shall not take effect unless and until confirmed by the tribunal. We already saw this. See, these are all not some complicated problem questions. They are questions that can be answered if you know your basic law. If you remember my slides, it is more than enough. You can answer. See, any of these questions, instead of asking in MCQ form, it can be asked in answer form, in which case one of the four options becomes your conclusion and your argument has to be given. The reasoning has to be given. Right? Supreme Government wants to allot, 1,000 shares of ₹10 each at a discount to certain key employees as a gesture of gratitude, although the employees have not provided any value addition. Okay. This offer is not being made to all employees in uniform manner. It is based on the MD's own decision. Friends, shares cannot be issued at a discount, right? So, two exceptions are sweat equity shares, where he has to provide value addition or know-how or intellectual property, or ESOP, where it should be uniformly made and should be done by a process. There is ESOP rules. Okay. So, in both cases, they don't satisfy. Therefore, is not valid, is invalid, because issue of shares at a discount is prohibited. Even if you cannot obtain prior approval and all. Mrs. Regina Construction Limited has issued 5 lakh equity shares of ₹100 each, on which 50 per share remains uncalled. Mr. Amrit Lal, the holder of 1,000 shares, submits an application for transfer to his brother-in-law Gyan Chand Shukla. Advise the company on the procedure to be followed. See, there is a calls in arrears. 50 per share remains uncalled. It's an uncalled. That is, liability is there. Amit Lal, who is holding, is now transferring to his brother-in-law Gyan Chand. You have to send a notice to Gyan Chand. See the section for the clarity. Gyan Chand and Gyan, unless you receive no objection, you cannot register the transfer of shares. Mr. Contentious sent an application of transfer of shares in Casual Approach Limited, an unlisted public company. The application was in order and there were no discrepancies. In spite of the repeated reminders by electronic mail, the company has not registered the transfer, nor have they provided reason. So, where a public company refuses to register transfer of any securities but does not send any notice of refusal, the transferee may, within how many days? 60 days of delivery of the transfer deed, apply and appeal with the tribunal. Is that correct? I don't know. You should know, right? Question number 5. D. 90 days. Boss, you have to be thorough. Okay. Let us see. Correct. Jnane says D. Abdul says D. Wow. Thank you. In case of buyback, passing of special resolution not required if Buyback is 10% or less of the total paid up equity share capital and free reserves of the company. Which of the following is not a source for buyback? General reserve is a source. Capital, no. CRR is not a source. Securities premium is a source. Proceeds of a fresh issue is a source. But CRR is not a source, right? Alankar Industries has funded its operations by issuing several series of non-convertible debentures. Each series will become due for redemption on the expiry of 5 years from date of issue. The particulars of the debenture issued and terms are given below. So all you have to do is the amount which should have been deposited in the scheduled bank, 15% of the amount which will become due on or before 31st of March next following. So for the financial year 21-22, that means what is falling due before 22. Okay. So each series will become due on 5 years from the date. Right. So what would have already been returned? 1/4/17 would have been done. So 1/7/17 would fall due on or before 31st March 22. That should be deposited. 15% should be deposited within 34/21. Am I correct? So not less than 15% should be deposited on or before 30th April, right? In the instant case, during the year ended, that amounts to 60 lakhs. How? 15% of the amount, that is 9 lakhs, should have been deposited on the date. Last question. The amount to be set apart as DRR, 10%, okay, of the total amount due. Or let us check up one thing very important. It's an unlisted public company. Okay. So it is liable, right? Every unlisted company should set aside 10% of the value of outstanding debentures. 100 lakhs. Total debentures outstanding is 100 lakhs. 10%, 10 lakhs should be set aside. Okay. Out of 1 crore, 10 lakhs should be set aside. Just I thought, instead of wasting your time or closing it yearly, I would as well do some little bit of revision. Having done that, I thank you for your wonderful support and participation and cooperation. And I hope you enjoyed General Clauses Act. In my next session on the 30th of this month, we will start Negotiable Instruments Act, right? And hope to do that also. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. Good night. Sir, class over, sir. Sir, class over.